Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My goal is to make these videos every week to give you guys some updates regarding fantasy basketball. So I'll go over the injury report for the week, and also I'll give you my recommendations on players that I think you should pick up on your fantasy team or players that you should at least keep an eye out for. So we're going to go through the injury report for last week day by day. I'll kind of discuss the players who are just injured day to day and players who are out for a longer period of time, and also players who are out with COVID because that seems to be happening a lot lately. Then I'll go into the top guard pickups, forwards, and then we'll move into centers. All right, so last Sunday, January 10th, the report said that Justice Winslow should be coming back early February. I think that's going to be his season debut with the Grizzlies. Bogdan Bogdanovic is out until early March with that knee injury. Thomas Bryant out for the season, so if you have him, I would drop him off your fantasy team. Seth Curry is out for COVID. He should be back sometime this week. It looks like he was out sometime early last week, so he could be day to day. I would keep him if you have him on your reserves. And then on Monday, it looks like Kevin Love is going to be out until late January, so he could be back soon. I don't really have any high hopes for Kevin Love. It looks like the Cavs just keep picking up centers. I mean, they just picked up Jared Allen from Brooklyn, so unless they start trading away some centers or unless Kevin Love gets traded, I really don't see why I would add him to my roster personally. On Wednesday, it looks like Jason Tatum was reported out due to COVID, and so was Avery Bradley. And then on Thursday, Ricky Rubio and Thomas Satoransky both out for COVID. So January 15th, on Friday, the report came out that Darius Garland and Colin Sexton are day-to-day. They should be back soon. Jeremy Lamb is looking to make his season debut with the Pacers, coming back from that knee injury. Lou Williams is day-to-day, so he should be back soon. Alec Burks, he was actually playing real good with the Knicks before he got injured, so I would kind of keep an eye out for him if he's available. I know he's available in a lot of the different leagues. Joel Embiid, day to day with that knee injury, and same thing for Russell Westbrook. Both should be back soon. Yusuf Nurkic out until mid-March, so I wouldn't keep him on your roster, or if you have a reserve spot, I would just keep him on the side for now. He wasn't really doing that great in the first place. And then out with COVID is Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Roy Hachimura. All right, Saturday the 16th yesterday, we had a bunch of updates. So I'm first going to go through the day-to-day ones. I'm going to try to go through them quickly because there's a lot. Danielle Gallinari, still out day-to-day. Cam Reddish, day-to-day as well. Kemba Walker is showing day-to-day, but I know he played today, got injured again, so we don't know the status of him at the moment. Porter's still struggling with that back injury. Kevin Porter Jr., he's still out for personal reasons, should be back soon. Tim Hardaway Jr., DeMarcus Cousins, John Wall, Eric Gordon, Sterling Brown, Jaren Jackson Jr., Tyler Hero, Lonzo Ball, Mitchell Robinson, Nerlens Noel, Al Horford, Evan Fournier, CJ McCollum, Derek Favors, and Joe Ingles all out day to day for this coming week. So they could be back anytime. Just kind of keep an eye out for that. Continuing with Saturday, it looks like Al-Farouq Aminu is going to be coming back sometime in February. Darius LeVert, same thing. Out with COVID-19, Michael Porter Jr., Josh Richardson, Maxi Kleber, Dorian Finney-Smith, Daniel House Jr., and then, of course, we have Kyrie Irving. We don't know what's going on, personal, and now he's on COVID-19 protocol. And, yeah, we don't really know what's going on with him. But, I mean, he's a beast, so you can't just drop him off your team. Just wait and see, and then if I have any updates, I'll let you guys know. All right, so I'm going to start with the guards. First, I call them my hidden gems because people don't know about them as much. Shake Milton and Tyrese Maxey have been balling for the Sixers lately. Obviously, they're short-staffed, and they're probably getting a lot more minutes for that reason. So just kind of keep that in mind. DeLon Wright just got the starting position for the Detroit Pistons. So that's another player to keep an eye out for. Cole Anthony, he's getting a lot of minutes now since Markelle Fultz is out for the season. And Mike Carter-Williams may be coming back soon, so that may affect his play, but just kind of keep an eye out for him. I know he had a good game yesterday. And then Emmanuel Quickley actually just kind of came out of nowhere, started balling the past few games. I picked him up on my fantasy team, so that's another person you should check out. And then we have some solid options guys who are like producing, but if you have a smaller fantasy league, I probably wouldn't recommend them as much. Goran Dragic, and then you have Will Barton, Monte Morris, and Gary Harris, all Nugget players. So you just kind of keep that in mind. They're all on the same team, so I wouldn't pick up all three. If you needed one, I would just pick up one of them. And then Patty Mills has been doing decent for the Spurs. Someone who's just, like I said, if you have a big fantasy league, you could probably use him. But if your fantasy league is kind of small, just a few of you guys, yeah, I would probably not pick him up. And then guys to keep an eye on, as I mentioned earlier in this video, Alec Burks should be coming back soon for the Knicks, and he was playing good beforehand. So just kind of keep an eye on him. We don't know how he's going to come back from that injury. And then on the Celtics, you have Peyton Pritchard. They're short-staffed, and he's been playing decent lately, so that's another person to keep an eye out for. Tyus Jones, he was playing pretty good lately, and then John Morant just came back, so I kind of dropped him off my team. But I would still keep an eye out for him, especially if they want to give John Morant some more time to rest, or, God forbid John Morant gets injured again. That's another person you would keep an eye out for. Evan Fournier should be coming back soon. And then also, like I mentioned before, Michael Carter-Williams may be coming back soon. He was a beast in fantasy a few years ago when he was just getting like triple doubles and a bunch of steals right when he started his career off. And then he kind of like fell off. But we'll see if he comes back from injury now that he's getting more minutes with Markelle Fultz out. Maybe he could take that starting position from Cole Anthony. Who knows? Just somebody to keep an eye out for. All right, moving on to forwards. Hidden gems. Number one, my man, Kyle Anderson. I picked him up earlier in the season, and then I kept him. He kind of just fell off a little, and then he came back, especially when John Morant got injured. He's been shining. And the good thing about Kyle Anderson is he doesn't need to score a lot of points to get you fantasy points. He gets a lot of rebounds, steals, blocks, and assists. So I really like him. And then the next person, kind of similar, Cedi Osman. He's been doing good the past few games. He's kind of up and down, but with Colin Sexton and Darius Garland coming back, I would kind of be hesitant on picking him up. And then Patrick Williams on the Bulls, he's kind of been balling lately. Just keep an eye out for him. I think Otto Porter Jr. is kind of his competition for that starting role. I'm not sure if he starts or not, but I know he gets a lot more minutes now since Otto Porter's had that back injury. And then you have Royce O'Neal on the Jazz. I know Joe Ingles and Derek Favors have been day-to-day or out, so he's been playing good lately. Another one of those players who can pick up rebounds, assists, block steals, and doesn't really need to score much to get you fantasy points. Some other solid options, Cam Reddish. He's been doing all right lately, so keep an eye out for him. Justin Holiday, although when Caris LeVert comes back, hopefully soon, Justin Holiday's stats might come down since LeVert will probably play the same position. And then Jae'Sean Tate on the Rockets. That's another person who may be affected by that big trade. If Oladipo comes in, he'll probably take some minutes from him. Kyle Kuzma's kind of up and down. He's been playing good of late, but that's just somebody to keep an eye out for. And then you have James Johnson on Dallas. He's been playing pretty good. When he gets minutes, he gives you points, but it's just kind of like the way it is right now. People are injured. People are going out with COVID. So you have all these players who are just come in to like fill the role for a certain amount of time. And then before you know it, once the starters come back or the rotation players, they lose a lot of minutes. That's kind of somebody like James Johnson. And then players to keep an eye out for, you have Isaac Okoro. I really liked watching him in the preseason, and then he kind of got hurt at the beginning of the season. He came back. He hasn't really played as well as he did in the preseason. I think last game he did pretty decent. So somebody to keep an eye out for. Again, Garland's out, Sexton's out. Once they come back, that might hurt his minutes. Again, Taurean Prince, another Cavs player with that big trade he landed there. He might get minutes. He might not. Just someone to keep an eye out for, see how he does. And then you have Denny on the Wizards. He's interesting. I mean, he's like having good games. Sometimes he's just a little inconsistent. I would keep an eye out for him. I think he's going to break out. He seems to know what he's doing, and he played professional ball overseas. So I think with the absence of Westbrook and some of the, I think they're one of the teams whose games got canceled a lot, the Wizards. So, I mean, he may get more playing time. Just keep an eye out for him, I guess. And then Bazley, he just got back from that ankle injury and hasn't been playing like himself. A lot of people have been dropping him, but I would say just keep an eye out for him. If he's available, I wouldn't pick him up, but just look out for that. Check on his stats, see how he does this coming week. Hopefully he gets a little better from that ankle injury. And last but not least, we have centers. So starting with Enes Kanter, number one. Nurkic, of course, like I said earlier, he went out with that wrist injury. Kanter is going to get a lot more minutes. Someone you should pick up if you need a center. If he's available, go for it. And then you have Bobby Portis on the Bucks, somebody I picked up early in the season. He gets a lot of minutes right off the bench. I don't know if he's a sixth man or considered a sixth man. He gets a bunch of minutes, and he kind of speeds up the offense for the Bucks because he's able to run a lot faster than Lopez and switch off onto the guards. So somebody that can get blocks, steals, and also a great rebounder. So someone to keep an eye out for if you need a big man. DeMarcus Cousins, he hasn't really lived up to his potential this year, and people are dropping him. And I was one of the people who dropped him, but I honestly think people are losing faith in him a little too early. He's had those early ejections in a couple games. He struggled with a little bit of an injury. He seems like he's still trying to get back into the rhythm. But I think now that James Harden and all that drama is out of Houston, I think that him and John Wall will take the leadership role for that team, and they're going to start producing. That's just my guess, but I just think as far as centers go, he's probably one of the better bets if he's available. Then you have DeAndre Jordan, of course. Jarrett Allen got sent away to Cleveland in that trade, so he's going to get more minutes, and I think he's going to produce. Then you have some solid options. Dwight Howard, of course, he's got the starting role now that Joel Embiid is out. He's been balling. I don't know how long that's going to stay, and just that's probably a short-term option if you need a center right now until Joel Embiid gets back or gets to his full minutes. Marvin Bagley, kind of up and down. I guess when his dad tweeted that he wanted him out, he's like, I got to start balling now to up my stock or something. He's been playing pretty good lately since that happened, but he was pretty terrible in the beginning of the season. Paul Millsap, I mean, he's going to get you, solid amount of points, pretty average player. If you need somebody who's just average, someone to fill the spot, some of those bigger fantasy leagues, he's probably useful. Cauley-Stein's been playing pretty consistent lately, and that could be just because of the injuries and players out with COVID protocol. Marc Gasol, another player who's just pretty average. If you have a big fantasy league, he'll probably help your team out if you need a center. Bismack Biyombo, another average player, up and down. Guys to keep an eye on, I would say any center who plays for the Cavs because they have like 10 of them, and trade deadline's coming up soon. And if some of those guys get traded to teams that don't have great big men, like if, for example, JaVale McGee goes to Charlotte or a team that needs, a big man or will be willing to give him more minutes, that's somebody to look out for. Jarrett Allen, I know a lot of people have him right now just because they really don't know what the status is, what his role is going to be in Cleveland. So I know they're just kind of hanging on to him. Guys like that, players to keep an eye on. Robin Lopez, now that we know Thomas Bryant is out for the season, him or Wagner are going to get a lot of minutes or a lot more minutes. So I guess one of those guys are going to beat the other out for the starting role or get more minutes. So we'll see who does better. I would just kind of keep an eye out on both and then see which player has the better week and decide from there if you're going to pick one up. And that sums it up. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. If you guys would like the video, comment if you have any suggestions or if you have any other players I didn't mention or if you have any questions. And then also if you could subscribe, I'm going to try my best to put out videos each week and give you guys updates. Please let me know if you have any suggestions, like I said, and thank you for watching.